Good day, everyone. How are you all doing? I want to believe everyone is fine. My name remains Omolade, aka Miladu Life. It's another beautiful day to tell a story. And the title of the story I bring to you Is It My Fault? It is centered around a lady called Ruth. Grab your popcorn, cross your leg, and relax as we begin the story. Is it my fault? Ruth is a young lady who had a very bright future. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's hardworking. If you meet with Ruth, you're going to fall in love with her. Every young man around her wanted to date Ruth. But Ruth already made up her mind that she wasn't going to settle for less. If she has to date someone, she has to get it right. Ruth tried everything not to fall in the hands of the wrong guy. But life had another thing laid out for her. Ruth met James, who showed her so much love. Let's get to the backstory how James came about. Hmm. James is one guy who is a playboy. When you say someone is a playboy, James is a playboy. He came visiting one of his friends around Ruth's house and he saw Ruth. He told his friend, "Oh, who is that lady?" And the friend told him, "Ha, oh boy, don't even think about it. Everyone has tried to date this girl. She won't budge. So don't even think of going to her to ask her out." James said, "Live story. I am going to get her. If it takes everything, this girl will be mine." And his friend said, "You can't do it." And it became a competition between James and his friend. And they told some of their friend about it. And it became a bet between them that James can never get Ruth. And James vowed that he was going to date Ruth, even if it's just for few days, weeks, or months. He was going to prove his friends wrong. And he began his mission. He saw Ruth one day. He approached her. He was very pleasant. There was something about him that made Ruth to give him attention. Ruth felt he was different from every other guys that have approached her. James asked Ruth to be his friend, and Ruth agreed. They started their friendship. After a few months, James told Ruth that I just don't want friendship. I want something more. Ruth was very excited because she thought she knew James. She agreed to be James' girlfriend. They started dating. James showed Ruth love, but it was all a game. it was all a game to James. But Ruth never knew that James was playing with her heart. The first day that Ruth agreed to be James' girlfriend, James pulled a call through to his friend and said, "Yes, I did it." And they told him, "Give us a proof that yes, indeed, she is your girlfriend." James took Ruth out on a date, took a picture of him kissing Ruth, and sent the picture to his friends. He won the bet. And his friend told him, "Let's take this bet further. If she agrees to marry you, this is the amount that we are willing to give you." You would think that James would stop, knowing fully well that he's messing with somebody's heart. No, James did not. He went ahead and proposed to Ruth. Ruth was very excited. She agreed to be his wife. Ruth remained a virgin. That was one of the things she vowed to keep. And James kept pressing her. And she told James, "No, until our wedding night, before I'm going to give myself to you. That is the promise I made to myself." James went to his friend and was like, "This is the situation." Because James wanted to boost his ego, he went ahead with the wedding. He got married to Ruth, knowing fully well that the relationship wasn't real for him. Ruth was very happy. The wedding night, she gave herself to James. James actually found out that Ruth was actually a virgin. You would think that will make James change his mind. Their first time meeting, having sexual intercourse, Ruth became pregnant. She was so happy to tell James that she was pregnant. You all know that James doesn't really want this wedding. But because of his bet with his friend, he convinced Ruth to terminate the pregnancy. Ruth loved James so much, she agreed. She got pregnant the second time, the third, the fourth time. James asked her to terminate the pregnancy. James went as far as putting something in Ruth's drink, which began the problem of Ruth. Ruth collapsed at work. She was rushed to the hospital. When they got to the hospital, she already had a miscarriage. And they were trying to save her life. And they found out that her womb was damaged. They had to take out her womb. When James came to the hospital to see Ruth, Ruth had to break the bad news to him. James pretended to be worried about Ruth, which was a big lie. Ruth was discharged from the hospital. They went back home. They were still living together as a couple. One day, James came home drunk. Very, very drunk. He beat up Ruth so bad that Ruth was like, this is not the man I married. This is not the man I fell in love with. Because Ruth loved James with all her heart. She felt like she did something wrong. Coupled with the situation on ground that she knows she can't bear children, she began to fault herself for every bad behavior of James. You will think that James would divorce Ruth. No, he did not. He started a family somewhere else. Ruth never knew about it. James lost his job in the process. He came home frustrated. He started lashing out at Ruth as usual. Ruth began to cry. She cried and cried and cried. She ended up locking herself in the guest room. James began to drink a lot. This fateful day, he was so drunk, and he started to talk. And he told Ruth, I never loved you. I took a bet with my friends that I was going to get you as my girlfriend. And I went further to say I was going to propose to you. And I knew I was going to cut off the relationship before it got to marriage. But because you refused to give me your body, that was why I ended up getting married to you. Now you don't have a womb. What do you think I want to do with you? Well, I have a family of my own. I don't care what happens to you. Ruth was surprised by this news. Her love for James turned to hatred instantly. The hatred that she had for James at that moment, she raced into the kitchen, got a knife, and was stabbing James. She kept stabbing James. She kept stabbing James. Until there was blood everywhere. Then she realized what she had done. She called out to neighbors, and the neighbors called the police. Ruth got arrested. James was rushed to the hospital, but he never made it. They started to interrogate Ruth. Why did you kill your husband? All what she could say was, is it my fault? I I hope you enjoyed this story. There are a lot of people who are in relationship for the wrong reasons. Don't play with people's emotion because you don't know what that person is capable of doing. And don't destroy your life because somebody hurt you. It hurts because of the pain this person has put you through. But do you want to be the one to ruin your life finally? No. I love you guys. See you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed the story. Love you. Bye.